You wake with a start. Not in your warm bed, not in a familiar room, but beneath rough canvas, the sharp scent of leather, dust, and sweat hanging thick in the morning air. Welcome to the 1870s. You're now a traveler on a wagon train bound for the western frontier. The ground beneath you is uneven, packed dirt mixed with straw and animal waste. Your back aches from the hard sleep, and you instinctively swat at a fly buzzing near your ear. Around you, the camp is beginning to stir. Tin cups rattle, horses snort. Someone coughs a deep, wet sound that betrays weeks of dust in their lungs. There's no shower waiting, no coffee maker humming, just the daily rhythm of survival. If you want breakfast, it'll be yesterday's leftover beans, maybe a biscuit. If you are lucky enough to barter for flour back in the last town. Your clothes are rough. A single set of garments, maybe two if you're better off than most. Stiff canvas trousers, a wool shirt soaked in the scent of body odor and wood smoke. They itch, they chafe, but they're all you've got. Washing them means using up precious water, which is more valuable out here than gold. Someone yells near the cook fire, and you hear a child start crying. A wagon axle cracked during the night. The family that owns it is stranded unless someone has a spare or the skills to carve one from nearby timber. You look down the trail. It stretches endlessly ahead and vanishes into a horizon blurred with heat. There's no turning back. Traveling west in a wagon train was not an adventure. It was a test, a gauntlet, a gamble with your life as the wager. As you help pack the wagon, you're reminded how much of your life now fits in a space the size of a small closet. Bedding, tools, a single rifle, a few precious keepsakes. Food, if you're fortunate. Every pound counts. Too much weight, and the wagon falters. Too little, and you might not survive the journey. The oxen, massive creatures with dull eyes and worn hooves, are harnessed and groaning under the morning sun. They don't move fast. A good day means 15 miles of travel. A bad day means none at all. And there are many bad days. As the caravan begins to move, the real challenge begins. The trail is not a smooth road. It's rutted, uneven, and in places barely exists. The wheels creak and groan. The wagons lurch violently with every rock and rut. Riders bounce in their seats. Children cry, and the dusted coats your mouth fills your eyes, sticks to your skin like a second layer. Hours pass slowly. The sun climbs high, burning through the thin canvas overhead. Shade is a luxury, water more so. Every gulp must be rationed, every drop guarded. You watch others sip carefully from leather flasks, their eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of a stream or a cloud. And then there's the silence, the vast, unending quiet of the plains. It's not peaceful, it's heavy, pressing, a reminder that you are far, far from safety, that no one is coming to save you if something goes wrong. Around midday, the caravan halts for rest. Someone has spotted strange tracks nearby. Could be wolves, could be something worse. A scout rides off to check. You chew a bit of dried meat, hard as stone, and stare out at the endless land. Nothing moves except grass in the wind. But that doesn't mean nothing's there. A few yards away, a woman collapses. Sunstroke, her family tries to fan her, pours the last of their water over her face. You want to help, but you have none to spare. Out here, compassion is a luxury few can afford. By late afternoon, the train rolls on. A wheel breaks. Another hour is lost. A child has a fever. His mother prays. Someone else is bitten by a snake. There's no doctor, only guesswork. Sometimes herbs help, sometimes they don't. The injured man is loaded into a wagon. If the bite was bad, he might not wake up tomorrow. As the sun begins to dip, the camp stops for the night. You help gather buffalo chips for fuel. There's no wood out here. The chips burn slow and smoky, but they're all you've got. Dinner is meager, beans again, maybe some hardtack. You eat in silence, eyes scanning the darkness. You're never alone on the plains. Coyotes howl in the distance. Someone claims they saw a shadow move beyond the wagons. A shape on the hill. Could be a bandit. Could be nothing. No one sleeps deeply tonight. You roll out your blanket beside the fire. The stars above are brilliant, clearer than you've ever seen. They shimmer with icy indifference. Beauty and danger side by side. In the distance, a baby cries softly. A man coughs, long and hard. A gunshot cracks far off. No one moves. No one speaks. You all heard it, but you all pretend it didn't happen. Tomorrow, you will do it all again. Your hands are already blistered. Your lips cracked from the dry wind. Your feet ache from the constant motion. Yet this is only the beginning. Hundreds of miles still lie ahead. Rivers to cross. Mountains to climb. Diseases to face. Accidents to endure. Storms to outlast. And yet people keep going. You lie back on your stiff blanket, the ground hard beneath you. Above, the stars still gleam. Around you, the fires burn low. And you wonder not for the first time if you will live long enough to see the other side of the continent. But there is no turning back. The east is behind you, the unknown ahead. The only way now is forward, day by day, step by step, until you either reach the promised land or become another nameless grave by the trail. And with that, you close your eyes, listening to the wind, the distant howls, the crackle of the fire, and you prepare for another brutal, unforgiving day in the heart of the American frontier. Morning comes not with the soft buzz of an alarm clock, but with the low groan of wagon wheels and the coughs of tired travelers. The fires have gone cold. Ashes swirl in the wind. You wake stiff and sore. Your back feels as though it's aged. 10 years overnight. But there's no time to stretch, no time to rest. The trail waits for no one. Breakfast is more of the same dried bread, bitter coffee boiled black in a soot-stained pot. You chew slowly, eyes half closed, hands already blistered. No one talks much in the mornings anymore. Words are reserved. For necessity, the trail has a way of silencing people. Out here, every sound means something. Too much laughter could mean you're not paying attention, and not paying attention gets people killed. A rider returns from scouting ahead. The mountains are close now. You see them in the distance grey silhouettes, rising from the plains like sleeping giants. You're told the next few days will be slow, hard. The path is steep and narrow. Wagons will have to be lightened. Some belongings may be left behind. It's a cruel reality. People carried piano parts, books, rocking chairs, wedding dresses. They wanted to bring pieces of their old lives with them. But the trail doesn't care about sentiment. As you begin the day's march, you pass small reminders of the ones who didn't make it. A broken wagon, its axle snapped clean in two. A pair of boots half buried in the dirt. A child's doll, faded and worn. Someone once loved it. Now it lies alone, forgotten by all but the wind. You spot fresh graves too, marked with wooden planks or stones. some with names carved in, most with none at all. A baby died 2 nights ago. Fever, they said. She was wrapped in cloth and buried before dawn. Her mother hasn't spoken since. Later that morning, you wade across a river. It's not deep, but it's cold, swift, and dangerous. One wagon tips, wheels slipping on smooth stones. Supplies spill into the current. A man dives in to rescue them and is nearly swept away. He comes back soaked, shivering, his face pale. He'll be lucky not to catch something worse. Crossing rivers is always a gamble. Some are shallow enough to walk. Others look safe until they take a wagon under. Horses drown. Children too. And if the water doesn't kill you, the infections might. No one treats wounds properly out here. A scratch can turn black in days. A bite can swell and fester. Most people hide their injuries until they can't anymore. By midday, you're climbing. The land starts to rise beneath your feet. The air grows thinner, cooler. The trail narrows. The wagons must space out more. People walk beside them now, guiding the wheels so they don't slip. You help push one up a steep slope, your boots digging into the rock. The sun beats down harder the higher you go. The views are beautiful. Rolling hills below, pine forests on the horizon. But no one stops to admire them. Beauty out here is like mercy rare and fleeting dot. In the afternoon, the first wagon loses control on a descent. Its brakes fail. It tips. Screams echo down the valley. A boy's leg is crushed beneath the wheel. His father pulls him out, cradling him, sobbing. There's nothing to be done. There are no splints, no painkillers, just whiskey. A lot of whiskey. They make the boy bite down on a piece of leather. 2 men hold him down while a third sets the bone. The scream is long. Everyone hears it. No one speaks of it afterward. The night is colder in the mountains, bitter and sharp. You huddle close to the fire, wrapped in your single blanket. A stiff wind howls through the trees. You pull your coat tighter and wonder how people did this with children. How they crossed these peaks with babies strapped to their backs and only the stars. To guide them, you're told snow can come early. Up here, even in August, even when the plains still bake in the sun, one storm can stop everything. Can bury wagons and people alike. That's what happened to the Donner Party. You remember the name. Maybe not the whole story, but you know it didn't end well. Tonight, the talk around the fire is quieter than usual. A few men clean their rifles. Others sharpen blades, just in case. There are rumors of a band of outlaws following the trail from back east. No one's seen them, but no one takes chances either. Out here, rumor often walks close behind truth. You sleep lightly, ears tuned to every branch snapping in the night. Morning comes with frost on the canvas. A man's boots are frozen stiff. Someone's water barrel cracked from the cold. You chew a strip of jerky until your jaw aches. The trail leads higher still, narrower now. In some spots, the drop beside the wagons is sheer. One mistake, one broken wheel and it's a long fall down. You hear someone shout ahead, then more shouting. You rush up the trail and find a wagon stuck between 2 rocks. Its rear wheels have locked. The oxen strain but can't move. Behind it, the line of wagons backs up quickly. They unload it bags of flour, dried corn, tools and push again. You throw your weight into it, shoulders burning, hands raw. After 20 minutes, it moves, just barely. Everyone cheers, but You see the man whose wagon it is staring at the pile of food he had to leave behind. He knows what it means. Less food means fewer days. Fewer days means higher risk. It's a simple equation. One miscalculation, and you starve before you ever see Oregon. By late afternoon, the trail finally starts to dip. You're descending, slowly, carefully, but that brings new dangers. Loose rocks, unstable ground. You help tie ropes around the wagons to slow their descent. Men dig their heels into the dirt, holding the lines steady. Every step is tense. Then it happens again. A wheel cracks. A man falls. You hear the pop of bone. His leg bends the wrong way. Someone says he can't go on, that he should be left behind. But his daughter begs, pleads, and they strap him into a wagon, his leg bound tight. No one knows if he'll make it through the next week. No one says it out loud, but you can see it in their eyes. By the time you reach a clearing at the mountain base, the sun is setting. You've made it down alive. Not everyone has. You set camp in the shadow of tall pines. The air smells different here, cooler, cleaner, but danger doesn't go away. It just changes shape. The animals are different now too. Mountain lions, bears. You're warned not to stray from the firelight. One man forgot last week, went to relieve himself behind the trees, never came back. They found tracks, blood, nothing else. As you lay down to sleep, muscles aching, you think about what still lies ahead. The plains were harsh, the mountains harder, but the deserts come next. Then the rivers, then the long dry valleys where water is just a memory and the heat kills silently. And yet, somehow, you keep moving. Everyone does, because the dream of the West, the promise of land, of freedom, of a new beginning burns brighter than the fear. It pulls people forward even as the trail tries to tear them apart. You close your eyes beneath the stars, knowing that tomorrow brings more walking, more wounds, more decisions no one should have to make. But out here, in the vastness of the unknown, you learn fast that survival is not about strength. It's about endurance, about refusing to stop, about believing that just one more mile might make all the difference. And with that hope, thin as the blanket wrapped around you, you fall asleep. The fire crackles beside you, the wind whistles through the trees, and the trail waits. Always, it waits. The morning sun filters through the branches, soft at first. You rise slowly, soar from another sleepless night on the cold earth. But as the sun climbs higher, its warmth grows sharper, less comforting, more threatening. You feel it before anyone says a word. The desert is coming. Breakfast is light. What's left of the cornmeal is rationed into thin cakes. No one talks much. There's a quiet tension in the air. You all know what lies ahead. The rivers are behind. You now, the high passes conquered. But the next stretch is a different kind of danger. Not steep cliffs, not freezing nights, but heat, endless heat. Dust that burns the eyes. Air so dry it pulls the moisture from your lungs. The desert doesn't shout its threats. It whispers them, slowly, patiently. The wagons roll out by mid-morning, the trees thin, the grasses fade, and the land opens wide into a flat, plain, sagebrush and scattered rock stretch for miles in every direction. The soil is dry and cracked. The wind carries no coolness, no only heat, and the fine grit of dust that finds its way into your nose, your eyes, your mouth. You keep a damp cloth around your neck, one of the few tricks people have learned out here. It helps a little, but not much. The oxen move slower today. Their tongues loll from their mouths. You see the ribs beneath their hides. They've been pushed hard for weeks. Water grows scarcer with each day. Every time you pass a streamed, people rush to check for signs of dampness. Most are dry. A man ahead of you stops walking. He just sits down in the dirt, hat over his face, says he'll catch up. No one argues. You know what it means. Later that day, someone glances back. He's still sitting there, alone. Still as stone. No one goes back. Traveling in the desert is different from the mountains. There are no peaks to climb, no trees to duck under. There's nothing, just sky and earth. The heat presses down like a weight, and you sweat until you can't anymore. Then your skin just dries and tightens. Your lips crack. Your tongue sticks to your teeth. And still, you walk. At night, the temperature drops without warning. The same sun that scorched you all day disappears, and the cold moves in fast. You huddle in your blanket, every joint aching, too tired to sleep. Someone cries out in the darkness. Delirium, they've had too little water. You offer a sip from your flask, but only a sip. Everyone is counting ounces now. Spilled water is cursed louder than spilled blood. The next morning, a horse drops dead on the trail, just folds at the knees and doesn't rise. The owners scramble to unload the wagon before the sun gets too high. They leave the carcass where it fell. By noon, the buzzards have found it. The pace slows again. The wagons creak and shudder. Wheels wobble. Axles groan. Sand grinds into every joint and hinge. The trail is less a road now, more of a scar through the desert, vague, uncertain. Sometimes you lose it, have to search for wagon ruts or half-buried stones. One wrong turn can mean death out here. Midway through the second day, you reach a known landmark, an outcropping of red rock that offers some shade. People collapse beneath it like swimmers reaching shore. There's little talking now. Lips are too dry. Faces burn red with sun. The water barrels are light. You tap yours and hear the hollow echo. You count the days to the next known spring. If it's still flowing, by the third day in the desert, something changes. The silence grows heavier. People don't even groan when they lift their packs. You see it in their eyes, blank, sunken, dulled. A look you hadn't seen before. The look of people drifting between worlds. A boy steps on a cactus and cries out. His foot bleeds, swollen with thorns. His mother plucks them one by one with a sewing needle, whispering to him. She gives him her water for the day. You hear others whisper that she shouldn't have done it, that they might all pay the price later. That night, the boy has a fever. They move him into the shade of the wagon and cover him with wet cloth. There's no doctor, just guesses and prayers. Some people stop praying this far into the trail. Others start. On the fourth day, you finally see it green on the horizon. It's not a mirage. It's real, a spring. You've reached the halfway water point. But something's wrong. You get closer and realize the water's nearly dry. A shallow pool remains, muddy and still. People drop to their knees and drink it anyway. You hesitate, but your throat is a knot. Your body aches. You drink. It tastes like dirt and metal, but it's wet, and that's all that matters. One man throws up. Another complains of stomach pain. The water may not be clean, but there is no other choice. The oxen drink too much, too fast. One of them collapses later that day. His belly bloated. He dies within hours. The family that owned him is forced to abandon their second wagon. They salvage what they can, loading supplies onto the remaining one, The rest they burn. You smell scorched canvas and old wood as you walk past. The 6th day in the desert brings wind, a sharp gust at first, then more. The sky begins to darken, not with rain clouds but with dust. Someone yells to cover your face. The storm hits without mercy. Sand whips across the trail like a blade. It slices your skin, blinds your eyes, fills your ears. You cover your head with your coat and crouch beside the wagon. Hours pass before it calms. When you stand again, the sky is clear but the trail is gone, buried. You spend another 2 hours just figuring out which way to go. That night, a woman breaks down, just sits in the sand and weeps. She's lost her husband and 2 of her children on this journey. She hasn't said a word in days. Tonight, she won't stop crying. You give her your last piece of bread. You don't know why, you just do by now. Everything is a blur. You forget what day it is, what month. You only count water and distance. There's a map burned into your brain, landmarks, rivers, stretches between springs. You don't remember your old address anymore, but you know every step between here and California. And finally, on the 8th day, the desert breaks. The land begins to rise again. The dust gives way to rocky hills. The air changes, still dry, but not so cruel. You smell something new trees, maybe pine, maybe juniper. You walk up a ridge and see them trees in the distance. Real ones, tall and green. You could cry if your body wasn't too empty. The wagons stop early that day. You set camp beneath sparse branches. It feels like a miracle. Someone finds a trickle of clear water. It's not much, but it's sweet and cold. The best thing you've tasted in weeks. As the sun dips below the hills, people gather close to the fire, not for warmth, but for comfort. You see smiles for the first time in days. Weak, weary, but real. You survived the desert. Not all did. You know their names. You remember their faces. They won't be written in books, but they walked beside you once, and now they're part of the trail, buried in sand and silence. You sit back and stare at the flames. Your hands tremble. Your lips are cracked and bleeding. Your clothes hang loose from your body, but you're alive. Tomorrow, you'll begin the next leg of the journey, through forests, across rivers, toward the distant promise of land and freedom. But tonight, you rest. The wind is quiet. The fire crackles soft, and for the first time in weeks, the stars feel like they're shining just for you. The morning air is colder now, but not cruel. It feels like breath returning to your lungs after weeks of choking. The trees around you stretch tall, the first true shade you've seen in what feels like forever. You breathe deeply, though your chest still burns from days of dust and heat. The desert is behind you, but the journey is far from over. Breakfast is a shared affair. Someone found wild berries nearby small tart, but they taste like hope. Woman boils a little porridge with the last of her grain. People are quieter again, not with despair this time, but with caution. No one dares believe the worst is behind them, not yet. The wagons move forward through foothills. The trail twists and climbs, not as steep as the mountains behind you, but uneven and full of pitfalls. The wheels creak louder these days. Every crack sounds like a threat. You pass a wagon stuck in the mud, its wheels sunken deep. A family of 4 surrounds it, desperate. You help dig, using your hands when no tools are left. It takes 2 hours, but it moves again. The father claps you on the shoulder, says nothing, just nods. That's thanks enough out here. By midday, it rains. The clouds come quickly. You welcome them at first: shade, coolness, moisture. But then the thunder rolls in. The trail becomes a river of mud. The wagons slow to a crawl. People slip and fall. You're soaked to the bone. And then the lightning strikes. A bolt hits a tree a few hundred yards away. The boom is like a cannon. The smell of burning wood fills the air. A fire starts, but the rain snuffs it out before it spreads. The children scream. The oxen panic. For a moment, everything is chaos. Then it passes. Just like that night. Clothes hang from trees, dripping. Fires smoke, but don't blaze. You sit beneath a tarp and shiver. Your boots are wet. Your socks haven't dried in days. Someone sneezes. Then again, you know what that means. Illness spreads fast out here. By morning, a young girl is too weak to walk. Her mother carries her wrapped in blankets, her face pale and damp. Fever. Someone offers herbs. Someone else offers a prayer. You offer nothing. There's nothing left to give. By the end of the day, she's gone. They bury her near a creek. No time for a coffin, just stones piled over the fresh dirt. Her father stands silent, then walks back to the wagon. Doesn't look back, no one speaks. The rest of the night, each mile grows heavier now, not just in distance, but in weight. The weight of memory, the weight of silence. You've seen people die, seen people give up, seen strong men weep without sound, and still the trail stretches on. You come across an abandoned wagon, its contents spilled, looted by animals or other travelers. There are footprints in the mud leading off into the trees. You never find out what happened. You don't want to know. Then, one morning, you see it far on the horizon: fields, green ones, a ridge with fences, a distant plume of chimney smoke. Civilization you don't celebrate. Not yet. You've learned not to trust good signs. But as you descend from the hills, it becomes clear. You're nearing the end. The pace quickens. People walk taller. Eyes scan the horizon, not with dread, but wonder. A group of children run ahead. You hear laughter for the first time in weeks. But even now, the trail gives you one more test. You reach a river, wider than any before, swollen from the rains. The current is strong, too deep to ford. The only way across is by floating the wagons. It's risky. You've heard the stories. Entire families lost to crossings gone wrong. You lash barrels beneath your wagon, seal everything tight. Say a quiet prayer, even if you haven't believed in anything for a long time. The oxen swim, pulling the wagon through the water. It groans, it shifts, it drifts, but it holds. Not everyone is so lucky. One wagon tips. A woman screams. Supplies vanish beneath the surface. A man dives in. They pull out a soaked child. He lives, barely dot, on the far bank. Everything changes. The grass is lush. The trees are taller. The air smells of flowers, not dust. You feel the trail lifting off your shoulders, inch by inch. But there's no cheering, no fanfare, just quiet. Some people cry. Others just sit down in the grass, staring at the sky. You arrive at the edge of a town the next morning. A real town, wooden buildings, smoke curling from chimneys, a blacksmith hammering steel, a church bell ringing somewhere in the distance. A man in a hat welcomes you, asks where you're from. You can't remember how to answer. You just say, "East." He nods, points you toward a boarding house. You pay with what little you have left. That night, you sleep on a real mattress for the first time in months. The sheets are coarse but clean. The roof doesn't leak. The wind stays outside. You lie awake for a long time. You thought arriving would feel like victory, but it doesn't. It feels like survival, like a long breath after being held under water. You think about the ones who didn't make it, the graves, the names whispered, once and never again, the dreams that died in the dirt. But you also think about the ones who walked every mile beside you, who pushed when it was impossible, who kept going when there was no reason to, and slowly the weight begins to lift. You're here now, you made it. And while your journey is over, you understand something that can't be explained, only lived. The West wasn't won by heroes in white hats. It was endured by ordinary people facing impossible odds. You roll over, eyes heavy, for the first time. In months, sleep comes easily. And as you drift off, you realize something else. The trail didn't just lead you somewhere new, it made you someone new. The days after arrival pass like a fog. You wake in a bed, but the muscles in your legs still twitch at night, still move as if walking. The trail lives in your bones. You eat real meals, again warm bread, salt, pork, thick stew, but your stomach shrinks from habit. The others eat in silence, their eyes hollow, their bodies thinner, sunburnt. Leather-ed. No one talks about the journey, not out loud, but you can see it on their faces. It didn't end when you reached the town. It won't end for a long time. The man at the land office tells you where to go, points on a map, says it's good, ground untouched, rich with promise, but it's also far. Another 2 days by foot, through woods and across a dry ridge. You nod. He doesn't ask if you're tired. No one has ever asked that out here. It's assumed. You gather what's left of your supplies. A hammer, 2 blankets, a bag of nails, a Bible, seeds wrapped in cloth, 1 small skillet, a child's wooden toy with a broken wheel. That's all the trail didn't take. Then you head out again. It's different now. No wagons, no long line of people. Just you, maybe a neighbor or two, walking through land that's never been carved into fences. No trail markers, no maps that matter. You reach the plot just before sundown. It's nothing special to look at. Rolling earth, some rocks, a few twisted trees, a small creek nearby. You check the soil, it crumbles in your hands, dry but not hopeless. You think about where the house might go. You picture it in your head, but it's hard to hold the image. Your mind is still too tired that night. You sleep under open sky again. You thought you were done with that. The stars are brighter here than in town. The silence is deeper. You hear wolves in the distance, or maybe coyotes. They don't scare you like they used to. You've already walked beside death. Everything after that is just noise. Morning brings work. No time to wait. You cut trees first, strip them, drag them across the dirt. Every blow of the axe jostles your bones. Blisters form, break, harden again. The sun beats down, but there's no shade to hide in. You drink from the creek, wash with a rag, then swing the axe again. A man from a nearby claim walks over on the 3rd day, introduces himself, offers you half a chicken and a worn-out saw. You offer thanks. He doesn't stay long. That's how it is out here. Kindness comes in short bursts, never wasted. Your hands shake as you drive the first nail into the rough frame of the house. It's not much, a single wall, barely upright, but it feels like something, the start of something. You try to believe. In it, the nights are cold again. The wind doesn't care that you made it. It seeps through your blankets, into your ribs, your teeth. You wake stiff, coughing. Every part of you wants rest. But there's no rest in land that hasn't been tamed. One evening, you find tracks near the creek. Not human, hoofed, wide, probably. Deer, maybe something else. You start sleeping with the rifle beside you. Loaded. Days blur. The house begins to take shape. A roof, crooked but holding. A door made from wagon boards. Gaps you stuff with moss. Inside, it smells of pine earth. And you, the smell of work. The smell of survival. Sometimes you stare out at the land and wonder if it will ever feel like home. Right now, it just feels like space, open and silent. You've traded movement for stillness, the trail for a fixed point. But the weight doesn't. Leave. One day, a storm comes in fast. Wind rips across the hills. You brace the walls with rope. The roof groans. The chimney collapses. Rain pours in through the cracks. You sit on the floor, water dripping down your back, and feel the fear. Return. You wonder how many times you'll have to start over. But the next morning, the walls still stand. You patch what you can. You whisper thanks to no one, and you keep going. As the weeks pass, things change. A sprout pushes through the dirt near the cabin. Then another, the seeds took. You smile, just barely. You build a table from a fallen tree. Place a single tin. Cup on it. You carve a spoon. You patch your pants with twine and stubbornness. You start measuring time, not in miles, but in what you built with your hands. One day, a letter arrives, the first since you left the East. It's from someone you almost forgotten, aunt, maybe, or an old friend. The ink is faded, the words stiff. They ask how you are. You don't know how to answer. You set it on the table and leave it there for days. Eventually, you write back. You lie a little. You say, it's beautiful here, peaceful, that you're happy. You don't say that the nights are still long, that sometimes the silence feels like a weight on your chest, that you still wake reaching for the trail, as if your feet forgot you've stopped moving. But part of it is true. It is beautiful in its own brutal way, and you are still here, still breathing, still trying, and maybe that's enough. You step outside one evening and watch the light change on the hills. The wind moves through the grass like a whisper. There are no fences yet, no markers, but this is your land now, yours to build, to fight for, to fail on. No one's coming to rescue you, but you don't need rescue anymore. You've made it through worse than this. And you know deep in your chest, in your hands, in your bones that the hardest things shape you more than the easy ones ever could. This place isn't home yet, but it will be, one day at a time. The first frost comes early. One morning you step outside, and your breath hangs in the air like smoke. The grass is stiff. The creek's edges wear a glaze of ice. You look at the sky, thin and grey, like it's forgotten how to hold warmth. Winter is coming fast, and you're not ready. No one is. Your cabin is barely sealed. The moss in the cracks helps, but the wind still slips through. You wrap yourself in everything you own: 3 shirts, a blanket around your shoulders, thick socks, with holes in both heels. You start cutting wood like your life depends on it, because it does. The axe feels heavier now. Every swing lands with less strength than the last. Your hands are raw again. Your shoulders ache, but the stack must grow, bigger, taller. You count the days in how many logs you split, how many still needed. Your fingers split and bleed. You don't stop. Some nights the temperature drops so low the fire barely fights it. You huddle near the stove, wrapped like a corpse, listening to the wind whistle through the eaves. You sleep in bursts never deeply. Dreams come cold and brittle. Some of them are of the trail, some of people you left behind, most of them are of nothing at all. Then one day you see smoke rising in the distance. Another cabin, maybe a mile out. You'd forgotten how close it was. You grab your coat and walk there slow, cautious. A man meets you halfway, rifle across his shoulder. He's older, beard streaked grey. He doesn't smile, but he doesn't aim either. You trade names, first names only. He invites you in. Inside, it's warmer. His wife is stirring stew over a pot. 2 kids sit on the floor, carving bits of wood into animals. They all look up, but no one speaks much, just nods. The man offers bread dense dry, but it fills the space in your stomach. You feel it all the way down. You sit in silence for a while. It's not awkward. Out here, silence is a kind of language. Before you leave, he offers you half a sack of flour. You don't want to take it, but you do. The snow comes a week later. At first it's light, scattered. Then it thickens, blankets the world in quiet. You wake to a world muted, soft, white as bones. Everything slows. Travel becomes a risk. The hills vanish beneath the snowdrifts. Inside you burn wood faster than planned. You ration food, make soup from nothing, just hot water, a bit of onion, and the smell of something that used to be meat. Hunger becomes background noise, like wind or creaking wood. You mark days on the wall, cross them off one by one. Some days you don't speak a single word, not even to yourself. Then, on a clear day, there's a knock. You freeze. No one knocks out here. You open the door with your rifle in hand. It's the man again. His son has a fever. He's pale, shaking, teeth chattering even with a blanket wrapped tight. You don't know medicine, but you have willow bark. You make a tea. It's bitter, weak, but it's something. The boy drinks it, sleeps, lives, the next day. The man returns with a jar of lard and a heavy wool coat. Says his wife insisted. You nod. No need for words. After that, you see them more. You help them. Dig out the path to their well. They help patch your roof after a storm tears loose part of it. You share a smoked rabbit. They bring you dried apples. The kids leave a carved horse on your doorstep. You pretend you don't care, but it stays. On your windowsill, more cabins come alive in the snow. Smoke from half a dozen chimneys. Faces appear, thin and red-cheeked. Names are exchanged, slowly. Trust takes time, and no one's eager to spend it too fast. But something starts to grow. Not just food or firewood. Something human, a woman down. The ridge organizes a meal for the new year. Says everyone should bring something, even if it's just a story. You're not sure you'll go, but on the night you find yourself walking the snow path, feet crunching over ice, smoke rising ahead like a signal. There are 8 people inside, maybe 10. Warm light, laughter, the sound of spoons scraping bowls. You sit in a corner, quiet, nodding when someone meets your eye. You eat bread, stew, something sweet made from honey and dried fruit. Someone plays a fiddle poorly, but no one cares. You watch them dance, offbeat and stiff, smiling through. Chapped lips and crooked teeth. And for the first time in months, you feel it. Not safety, not joy, but warmth. Real warmth. The kind that lives in people, not fire. Someone asks you to tell a story. You almost say no. But then the words come. About a wagon stuck in the mud. About a family who pulled it out. About a storm that didn't. When you leave out the worst parts. You don't have to say them. Everyone here knows. They nod. They listen. And when you finish, someone raises their cup to the ones who made it. And everyone drinks. You walk home through the snow. The stars sharp above. The night still cold, but less heavy somehow. Your cabin is dark, but not lonely. You light the stove, sit by the window, and hold the carved horse in your hand. It's small, simple, but it was made by someone else's hands for yours, and that matters more than you expected. The wind howls again outside, but this time it doesn't get in. The snow doesn't melt all at once. It retreats in patches, slow, careful, like a wounded animal unsure if it's safe to come out. First the roof clears, then the trails between cabins, then the fields dark, soaked earth emerging from under. Months of silence. You walk it every morning, the same loop, checking for signs. A sprig of green here, mud softening under boot, a squirrel darting from stump to brush. One day you see a bluebird, first color you've seen in weeks. It feels like a message, though you don't know from who. The creek floods with meltwater, runs louder than you remember. You dig a channel to guide it, blister your hands again, but your blood's thicker now. You've hardened without noticing. You plant in silence. Rows of beans, corn, the saved seed, potatoes. The earth is wet and reluctant, but it takes them. You press each into the soil like a prayer. Nothing fancy, just faith in the ordinary. The others plant to dot you past them in the field's bent backs, dirt-streaked faces. Some wave, some just nod. No one speaks much during planting. The work demands all of you. One morning, the older man David, you finally learn, comes to your cabin holding a tool you've never seen. A kind of two-handled plow. Says it cuts the rows deeper, faster. He shows you how. You trade him your last jar of salt pork for a day's use. That's how it is now, trade. Quiet generosity. Later, you sit on your stoop, watching the breeze ripple over the fields like breath. There's no fence yet, but you can feel the line where your land begins. You feel protective of it, like it's become part of your body. Scarred, worked, tired, but yours. Then she shows up again. The woman from the cabin, past the ridge. Her name's Miriam, though she never offered it outright. You picked it up from someone else. She carries a woven basket and 2 small saplings. I had extra, she says. You thank her. She doesn't linger. She rarely does. But you plant one of the saplings near your cabin that same day. Apple, she said. You don't know if it'll live, but you water it anyway. Weeks pass. The air warms, thickens. The land comes alive in slow motion. Tiny shoots break through. First just green, then full leaves, then stems that reach for the sun like they remember how. You wake earlier each day, not because you have Chubut, because the light draws you. Some days it rains hard. You run outside and cover what you can with scraps of canvas, burlap sacks. Sometimes you succeed. Sometimes the ground washes out and you start over. But there's less fear now. Just the rhythm of it. Work, rest, wait. Hope you hear hammering one morning from over the hill. A young couple builds a barn. You walk over to help without being asked. They smile like they didn't expect it. The man hands you a nail. The woman brings water in a chipped mug. You work till your arms burn. Then you walk home in the evening light, tired in the right way. That night you dream of nothing, and it's the best sleep you've had in months. At the end of May, the first sprouts reach knee height. You crouch in the rows and run your fingers through the soil. It's still cool underneath, still carries the memory of winter. But the plants push up anyway, stubborn and small and certain. One evening, you're sitting on your step again, watching the light settle over the fields. Miriam walks up without a word, sits beside you. You don't speak for a long time. Then she asks, "Do you still miss it? The life before?" You don't answer right away. "I don't miss what it was," you say, "just who I was in it." She nods, looking at the tree she gave you. "You're not that person anymore," she says. You both sit in the quiet after that, long enough for the stars to come out. You hear a coyote cry far off, but it doesn't feel like a threat, just another voice in the chorus. When she leaves, she places something beside you, a folded piece of cloth. Inside, 3 eggs, still warm. You watch her disappear into the dusk, and then you sit there a little longer, holding the eggs in your hands like they're something delicate, like they mean something more than food. A month later, the beans flower, the corn shoots upward, the potatoes bloom. Small purple buds you didn't expect. You watch it all from your stoop. Boots in the dirt, hands on your knees. The land is still wild, still too big for you, but it's learning you, and you're learning it. And somewhere in the middle of that slow exchange, you begin to feel like a person again, not just a survivor, but someone who might one day love this place, even if it never loves you back. Summer arrives all at once. No warning, no easing in, just heat. Thick, breathless, constant. The air stops moving. The sky turns pale, hard. The dirt cracks underfoot, veins opening in the soil like something trying to escape. The plants grow fast, almost frantic. Cornstalks shoot up, thick and tall. Beans tangle along their poles. The potato blossoms fade, and the green tops begin to yellow. Time to dig soon. The work shifts from planting to tending, weeding, watering, watching, always watching. Every morning starts before sunup. You drink water before anything else. Then out to the field, shirt already damp by the time the light hits the hills. You wear a wide hat. Your skin burns anyway. The creek runs low, a trickle now. You dig a small trench from its edge to your garden, coax the water to flow. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it sits still and soaks into the dirt like it's being swallowed. Whole, the land's thirstier than you are. You ration, a ladle for drinking, another for the plants, a splash for washing, maybe. Your hands are never fully clean, just varying shades of earth. Everyone else feels it too. Tempers run shorter, words are fewer. A man up the hill curses when a fox takes 3 chickens. Someone else loses a goat to heat stroke. You hear raised voices one night, something about property lines. The next day, those 2 men don't speak when they pass on the trail. But the work doesn't stop. It can't. You carry buckets until your shoulders scream. Mend fences. Kill squash bugs with your fingers. Pick caterpillars off the bean vines one by one. Sweat runs down your back, your chest, your legs. You stop caring about it. The heat is a second skin now. One afternoon, Miriam arrives without knocking. She's pale, lips cracked, eyes rimmed red. You bring her water, and she drinks slow. Too slow, you see it in the way her hands shake. She's close to collapsing. You sit her in the shade and fan her with your hat. She doesn't speak for a while. Then, Caleb's sick. You know the boy, her brother, 15, maybe 16. Lives with her after their father died last year on the trail. Strong kid, always quiet, but good with animals. You go with her. Their cabin smells like sweat and fever. Caleb's under a quilt, eyes closed, skin burning. He moans when Miriam touches his shoulder. You don't know what it is. Heat stroke, infection, maybe both. You stay, boil water, wipe his skin down. Mix herbs from your shelf willow bark, yarrow, a pinch of something bitter she brought from her mother's pouch. The days blur, the heat presses down on the cabin like a second roof. You take turns sleeping. He mumbles things in the night, names you don't know, places he's never been. You speak to him anyway, about the corn, the beans, the tree outside your cabin that might give apples one day. On the third night, the fever breaks. You and Miriam sit on the floor. Neither of you says anything, but you don't have to. You stay one more day to be sure. When you leave, she hugs you without hesitation. It's the first time you've touched someone in weeks. Her shirt smells like smoke and lavender and something older than both. You walk home that night, slow dot, and it hits you this is what it feels like to matter. Not in words, not in thanks, but in presence. You mattered. You fall asleep with the window open. The air's still hot, but there's a breeze now. A whisper of movement. The kind you don't notice unless you've known real stillness. The next few weeks pass in the rhythm of midsummer. The harvest begins small beans first, then squash, thick and heavy in your hands. You dig the potatoes carefully, one by one, brushing the dirt off like they're fragile. You store them in crates beneath the floor, counting each one. The days are long, but not forever. In the evenings, people gather, sometimes just 2 or 3, sometimes more. Someone plays the fiddle. Again, and it's not as bad as it was in the winter. There's laughter now, fireflies, bread passed around. Still warm. You sit near Miriam more often, not always next to her, but near. She brings you a jar of pickled carrots one evening. You give her your last bit of honey. Neither of you says it's a gift, but it is. One night, after everyone else has gone, she stays. You don't touch. You just sit, shoulder to shoulder, watching the last of the fire die out. The stars are heavy above, the kind of sky you only see in places without fences. She leans her head on your shoulder. You don't move, not because you're afraid, but because there's nowhere else to be. The heat will break soon. You can feel it in the wind, in the way the birds move lower to the ground. Autumn is coming. A different kind of work, a different kind of preparation. But tonight, you let the stillness hold you, and for the first time since you left everything behind you. Don't wonder if you'll survive. You know you will, because you already have. The heat breaks in early September, not all at once, but you feel it to the edge of cool in the mornings, the long breath between sun and shade. You wake one day and your breath is visible again, just barely. The trees haven't turned yet, but they will dot the land shifts. Corn tassels dry and rattle in the breeze. The beans yellow and wilt. Pumpkins lie fat and orange in the grass, swollen and heavy. The ground feels tired beneath your boots, like it's done its part. Now it's your turn. Harvest becomes its own kind of survival. not as urgent as winter, but just as necessary. You dig, pluck, haul, bundle. You learn the weight of things: a basket of potatoes, a crate of apples, a jar of beans. You learn what stores well, what spoils fast, what must be eaten now. You share more now than you ever expected. It started with trade, then it turned into something else, a habit, a rhythm. You leave squash on someone's stoop, they leave eggs on yours. No one talks about it. It just happens. You build a cold cellar, David helps. He's slower now, something in his hip isn't right. You don't ask, you just dig while he directs, and together you lay the stones and shape the darkness below the earth. Miriam comes by. More often, she helps with the canning. Her hands move fast, practiced. You talk less while you work. There's comfort in that. The heat between you doesn't need words. One evening, she brings her brother. Caleb's stronger now, taller too. He helps you split wood without being asked. He swings the axe like someone who's learned his body can fail him, and now he's fighting to earn it back. You nod your respect. He nods back. You three eat together after. Quiet meal, stew, bread, one preserved peach, sliced thin. Miriam laughs once, just a single breath, but it stays with you. Later, when they're gone, you stand outside under the stars and whisper her name, just once, to the dark, and it feels like something real. The leaves change late that year, slow and reluctant, as if the trees are unsure they want to let go. First the edges turn gold, then rust, then red like blood drying on skin. You walk the ridge and look down at the whole valley of flame. It doesn't feel like the end of something. It feels like a beginning. Then, one afternoon, a horse comes down. The main trail. You haven't seen one in months. The rider wears a long coat, dusty and cracked. No badge, no uniform, but he carries authority like a scent. He stops at every cabin, talks to every settler, says he's just checking in. But you see how people close their doors when he leaves. He asks you where you came from. You tell him the state, not the town. He nods, makes a note in a small leather book, asks if you've seen anyone passing through recently, anyone looking to settle without permission. You shake your head. He stares a moment longer than necessary, then thanks you, tips his hat, and rides on. You watch until the dust disappears. That night, the fire feels colder. You wonder what he saw in you, what he was hoping not to find. And you remember what you left behind. Not just land, not just people, but a name, one you haven't spoken. In a year, a week later, Miriam finds you on your porch. She doesn't speak right away, just stands there, arms crossed, watching the wind twist the last of the cornstalks. Then, softly, he asked me about you. You nod, don't lie, don't confess, just say, what did you tell him? Nothing, she says. Didn't need. 2, you look at her. She holds your gaze, not judging, just waiting. And for the first time in months, you speak the full truth aloud. I did something before all this. I wasn't proud of it, but I couldn't stay and be that man anymore. She nods once. You're not him now. You believe her, mostly. But that night, you lay awake, staring at the rafters, listening to the creak of the wind, and wonder how long the past stays buried before it comes up through the soil like something you forgot to burn. The harvest festival comes near the end of October. Someone hangs lanterns in the trees. Someone else roasts a hog over a pit. There's cider, warm and sweet, passed from hand to hand. Children run through the tall grass in makeshift costumes. Adults gather in a circle of chairs that weren't there the week before. You bring 2 jars of beans and 1 of honey. Miriam brings bread and a jug of something strong. There's laughter, singing. Caleb plays a fiddle, this time better than the last man. You don't dance, but you stay close to her. She doesn't move away. When the fire dies down and most have gone home, you stay behind. Just the 2 of you. You walk her back to her cabin. At the door, she turns to you, says nothing. You don't kiss. You don't touch, but you both stay there for a long time. And when she steps inside, she leaves the door open behind her, just for a moment, long enough for you to understand the invitation. You walk home in the dark. The wind has teeth again. The trees are mostly bare. The sky is clear and brutal and endless. Winter is coming. But this time, it's not something to survive. It's something to share. And maybe, just maybe, something to welcome. The first snow comes early. Not a blizzard, not yet. Just a dusting. Soft, reluctant. Like the skies testing the ground. You wake to white on the roof, the field, the steps. Your breath hangs in the cabin air like a ghost. You don't light the fire right away. You sit on the edge of your bed, blanket around your shoulders, and listen. The silence is deeper this year. Not hollow, not afraid, just. Full dot outside the tree Miriam gave you is bare. Its branches stretch out like ribs. It didn't bear fruit this fall, but that's all right. Some things take time. You've stored enough. The cellar's full. The jars are sealed. The wood is stacked higher than last year. You've learned what you need. Learned what you don't. You wear what's warm. Eat what keeps. Speak only what matters. Some nights you read by candlelight, the same 3 books, over and over. You know the endings, but the words settle into you differently now. Like old songs, like prayers you don't have to believe in to feel. Miriam visits often. She brings a loaf of bread, or just herself. Some nights she stays. Other nights she walks back, lantern in hand, a slow-moving star in the dark. You watch until the light disappears. Then you sleep easy. One morning, she says she's pregnant, just like that. Standing in your doorway, eyes clear. You don't panic. You don't speak, not right away. Just step aside and let her in. She walks to the fire, warms her hands, waits. Finally you say, "Is it mine?" She nods, "Yes," and after a breath, "I want to stay." You nod, and after a breath, "So do I." Caleb builds them a second room. You help. It goes up slow, but solid. You hang dried lavender over the window. She hangs a small carving from her mother. A bird, wings spread. The snow deepens. The light fades. But there is warmth now that doesn't come from fire. In late winter, the rider returns. Same horse. Same coat. Same silence. He doesn't come to your door this time, but you see him speak to the new family at the edge of the woods. He gestures toward your cabin once. Just once, then rides off. You wait for something, a letter, a name, a knock, but none comes. Maybe the world back there has let you go. Maybe it never knew how to hold you. The baby comes in early spring. You boil water, tear cloth, hold her hand. Caleb waits outside. The wind howls, then stops, then howls again, and then a cry. Small, fierce, like something refusing to be silenced. You hold her after Miriam sleeps. She's red-faced, fists clenched, eyes still closed. You whisper a name into Her skin, it's not yours, it's not hers, it's new. She stirs, makes a sound, and in that moment, you know, this is it, the reason, the answer, the end of the running, the beginning of the staying. You plant again that spring, corn, beans, potatoes, but this time, you plant an extra row, and beside the cabin, under the apple tree, you build a swing rope with nothing fancy, but it creaks in the wind. Like laughter, like a future. You don't forget who you were. You don't pretend the past didn't happen, but you bury it gently and mark the spot, so you remember when not to dig. In time, your name fades, the old one, even you stop saying it. But what you are now, that stays in the dirt, in the child, in the hands of the woman who stayed. You are not saved, you were not saved, you were not redeemed, you were simply replanted, and for once you bloomed.